any guy who used to date a girl, stop following her on all social media.
Hmm.
If you guys don't date anymore, like you don't need to be a part of her life anymore, and not in a bad way necessarily. You can be, but you have to revert the relationship to friendly as opposed to friends.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like you said, like you see online, like you see when someone sees what you're doing, or
Yeah.
you see when someone likes or comment shares whatever, like it is that you're doing, and that can be like intrusive in a way, to a lot of people. And but people who have moved past the situation, it's not intrusive. And usually people who still follow like the daily lives of people that they used to date, or that there was something that happened between them, and they find themselves unable to stop following them, is because they haven't really moved on.
What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed,
And Luffy.
and this is the Brotherly Love podcast. How are you doing today, Luffy?
I'm
And
good,
how
man.
are I'm so sorry. Go ahead again.
I said I'm good.
You're good? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry for cutting you off. I was about to say, like, how are you guys doing?
We'll get to them later. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Today's the first day of like sunshine in a long time.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, it was raining for a few days here, and it kind of got me down a little bit. But now we're back up.
Yeah, so hopefully this podcast can bring back up your moods.
Oh yeah, every time we shoot the podcast, it always brings my mood because I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even if in the beginning it's not as like big or whatever it is, I'm happy just doing it because it's something I actually like doing. I like talking about certain topics. I like just talking and hearing myself talk, as narcissistic as that sounds.
No, I definitely feel you on that.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a sounding board, so.
Yeah, especially as like a recording artist, I just hear myself all the time.
Mm.
It's nice. But let's just jump into it. It's a topic that I wanted to touch upon. I think it was roughly around episode 3 I wanted to touch upon it, but I never really had the chance to. So now this is the perfect time. Um Ghosting. The
Mm.
term ghosting, right? Where pretty much you are texting someone that you like, they're kind of feeling you too, and you guys are talking, and then just randomly one side just goes ghost. They go silent. They don't talk. There's no explanation, and then that they either pop back up, or you just never. They just like view your Instagram story for the rest of your life, and that's kind of how it goes.
Have you ever been ghosted?
Millions of times. Millions of times. It
Mm.
sucks because you're just like, at first you're like, oh, maybe they just forgot to text me back. And then you kind of think about it. It's like, wait, no. They're looking at my Instagram story. They definitely are able to text me. They just don't want to. I
Mm.
think the main reason being is that they might not want to continue the conversation, or there's something on their side they're not comfortable bringing up. And they're just like, I'm just not going to say anything.
Have you ever ghosted someone?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I'm not a perfect dude. Like, I'll be talking to a girl, and then like, in some instance I'll kind of just think to myself like, I don't really want to talk to this person anymore.
Mm.
And unfortunately, I would just ghost them without an explanation.
Mm. Karma.
Yeah. It always goes back and forth, back and forth.
That's why you've been ghosted so much.
Yeah. 100%, cuz you think everything is all good, and like, oh, she feeling me, she digging me. Nah, bro. She's just bored.
So, in those instances, why did you ghost those people or those women you were talking to?
Well, there's multiple reasons. It could be either A, I'm busy and I just don't really have the energy to talk to you anymore. I just I just don't want to talk anymore. Um, B, I have other things on my plate, and although it's nice talking to you, you're not my main priority. We're just talking, so it's not my main priority. Or it could be like, I got in a relationship, I can no longer talk to you.
Mm.
It's usually one of those three.
In all three of those instances, though, is it too difficult to let the other person know?
No, not at all. But the reason being why I used to do it a lot mind you, the keyword used to do it a lot,
Hmm.
is that I was scared of confrontation. I feel like that's what ghosting is. It's like they're kind of scared of confronting the person and be like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore,"
Hmm.
because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, and they just kind of go on with life. And it's also weird though at the same time, right? Because like if you think about it, right, everyone looks at their metrics online, whether it's likes, whether it's the viewers and their stories. It doesn't matter how often, but people do it on, they just do it on a basis. And you'll eventually see someone you used to talk to that ghosted you look at your story, and you're like, why are you checking up on my life when you're the one who didn't want to talk to me anymore, right?
Mm.
And they'll like your pictures, they'll even comment on your posts, but they don't want to initiate conversation. Now, this is on both ends. I've done this, you know what I'm saying? The other person has done this as well. It's not just a me thing.
Well, let's break this down because this is becoming like multifaceted or multi-layered.
Yeah.
Um, so on one, there's ghosting is one thing, right? And
Hmm.
then this like cyber stalking almost afterwards is a separate thing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, let's harp in on why do people ghost? I've been ghosted a bunch, and I've ghosted people before. I don't do it anymore, but for the same reasons that you say, I realized that it was just me being a coward and afraid to confront whatever issue it is that we have at hand. For why like I don't want to date you anymore,
Yeah.
or
No,
why
yeah.
this relationship isn't going to work out anymore. Um, that's one thing, right? And I think that's like that's I don't want to say it's normal, but I think that the fear of confrontation, being non confrontational, is a fairly normal trait. So I can understand why people might be inclined to do it. All I'll ask is that they take a leap of courage or a step of faith and honestly believe that honesty is the best policy.
Why
And
are you rhyming accidentally?
a like just believing that honesty is the best policy and that like the truth will set you free. If you do fundamentally believe that, I do think that it's easier. It's harder in the moment, but long term, I've never not thought about a girl that I ghosted, and that is a much worse pain than the pain of confrontation, of addressing reality and letting people know where it is that you actually stand on certain issues. And we've talked about before, I think, I don't know if on this podcast or not, but, going back and how I had to kind of go back to a lot of women that I dated before and apologize for certain things that I did in the relationship. And part of those conversations were with some women that I ghosted,
Hmm.
and hit rate on them even responding was almost zero. But and I'm
Wait,
sure.
so do you mean like they wouldn't respond or they would?
Oh yeah, no, a lot of them did not respond.
Oh yeah, they're probably salty. They're just like,
Oh yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah.
fuck you.
I mean, to be fair though, too, I don't here, and this is when we talked about closure. That's when we were talking about this. When we were talking about closure,
Hmm.
is that I don't fault them for not responding. In fact, they don't owe me a response,
Oh yeah,
right?
they don't owe you
Especially
anything.
if from their position, a lot of these women. This is years after I had dated them, where I'm getting back in contact with you to tell you that I'm sorry that I left the relationship without saying anything.
Oh, okay. So
Like
is
that
this?
sounds so bad.
It does. It does. Are we talking about relationships? Or are we talking about all forms of like intimate
I use
conversations?
the word relationship in terms of any interpersonal
Okay.
relationship. So to me,
Okay.
it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship. Although I am mainly describing like relationships that I had with women.
Hmm.
We're not judging it based off of the severity of that interaction or of that relationship, right? Now, unless you make that differentiation, like, do you think it matters how strong of a relationship you guys had with ghosting, or is
No,
just
not at
ghosting
all.
wrong across the board?
I think ghosting just involves when two people are obviously liking each other in some kind of way. You don't have to be in a committed relationship. You could be casually dating, it could be friends with benefits, whatever it is, right? As long as it's intimate, when someone ghosts you, then that's, I would say, in that kind of pool, that's allowed as ghosting. I don't know. I guess for me, the main reason why I just like decided to do them is just like you kind of just move on in a weird way mentally as a dude. You'll start to notice bits and pieces, and you're just like, I don't really like this anymore. And then you kind of just bounce because you want to find the next new thing. And that sounds terrible. That sounds really, really terrible. And to go back to what you're saying of like to contact them again, I don't think I've really contacted anyone that I've ghosted before. Like, I just feel like it's a little weird to do so.
Sure. I mean, anything feels weird that you feel like is weird, right?
That
Just
felt
like,
like such an awkward pause. You were just staring at me, and I was like, I felt so like, but go
well,
ahead.
yeah, I mean, because I'm slightly judging you.
That's fine. That's
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
I'm just keeping it real, because I think that the same thing is like awkwardness, for instance. Like, it's only awkward if you feel awkward. It's only weird if you see it as weird. And so, like, yes, in those instances, a lot of times, especially in the beginning, like, it was very, very difficult for me to, and I'm like, yo, this is like, yo, like, I'm about to call some girl that I stopped talking to a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or however long ago. It just seemed like, what is this for? But at the end of the day, even like I said, their non-response gave me a form of closure, knowing that, hey, you know what? I think that I've change some aspects of myself as a person. And I want to demonstrate those to you by genuinely apologizing for something that I previously did. I understand and I can empathize with the situation from your perspective and why you wouldn't want to necessarily even open up that can of worms. And I'll accept that because that's just something that comes with it. It's like when you go up to bat or like to swing or whatever, you go up to the plate and you don't know if you're gonna hit a home run, but you have to try.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like kind of like at the bare minimum, because my greatest fear is that I'll look back and I won't try, or be holding on to something from my past and say, oh, I wish that I would have made amends, or I wish I would have at least tried to do this or that, because like I said, like I remember every person that I've ghosted, because it hurts to get ghosted.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've been ghosted before. So I know how that must have felt like. And I'm not saying that it's a, multi-year traumatic experience that I caused them in their life. I didn't, kill their
But
brother
it's
or some
definitely
shit.
something that affects you.
But it's definitely something that affects people for however long. And for that, like I need to, now that I'm knowledgeable of it, right?
Hmm.
Of my decisions and like the consequences that they make, I'm also empowered enough to take the steps to make the changes necessary for me to feel like I've made amends with myself.
Okay. I can understand that. It sounds very similar to an earlier episode we had when we're talking about reaching out to past relationships and such and apologizing for the wrongdoings we do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
it's
said
like
earlier about
yeah,
like closures, like
yeah,
it's similar to
it's
that
important
episode.
to have closures and stuff. I guess the reason why I said I was like I've never reached out to people I've ghosted is because the people I ghosted were the friends with benefits situationships kind of thing. But also at the same time, it's like, yeah, maybe I should reach out and be like, hey, I apologize for not really addressing why I left,
Mm.
right? Because I think that's really important. Thinking, but even thinking now, I'm trying to like really think like,
You know what's interesting? I'm sorry to cut
no,
you off.
no,
What's
you're good.
really interesting is like you said that it was the friends with benefits, the situationships. Those were the instances where you most ghosted someone, right? It's
Yeah.
not like you were in a 4 year deep relationship.
And then
You
you're
got
like,
two,
all
you
right,
got
bye.
two kids, and then you went out for a pack of smokes. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like I do think that um, those sorts of relationships, the ones that are a lot looser defined, right? Like you wouldn't ghost your friend,
Oh no,
right?
no.
Because defining someone as your friend, it's like, well, if that's how I treat my friends, like, what does that say about me?
Hmm.
Like a lot of those people, for me also, that I ghosted were people that I had really casual relationships with. And that's why it was so difficult. That's why it took so many years for me to go back and even try to like make amends with the situation, because I don't like dwelling on something, right? I like to move forward. So when I find myself at any point thinking about some girl that I dated 2 years ago, I know that internally there's something wrong with that
Yeah.
situation. And like it's because you probably never defined the relationship in the beginning that you find it difficult to apologize for ending it in the end.
Mm, that's true. That's 100% true. Even now I'm currently trying to think of the girls I've ghosted. I might have to like actually like self-reflect because nothing is coming to mind, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times it's a blur in a way because a lot of times the situationships slash relationships with or whatever it's called were like very short periods of time, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, all right, bye.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like nothing else. But I should definitely reflect and reach out to those people that I did ghost and be like, hey, these are the reasons why I ghosted you. I apologize for that. I don't, you know, think you're gonna give me an acceptance. I'm not looking for that. I just need you to tell I need to tell my truth to you so that way I can make amends of this whole situation.
Mm.
But that's where I also want to get back to. Let's say for instance, in that time span, right? Let's say for instance, either they ghosted you, you ghosted them, whatever it is. And we go back to the social media thing. And they're stalking like social media stalking in a way like they always look at your story, they're always liking your content, they leave comments, whatever it is. But the one who ghosted you, or if you ghost them, whatever it is, don't initiate the conversation. What does that mean?
Okay, cool. Because remember earlier I differentiated between ghosting and then like the online cyber
Yeah, and
stalk,
I'm
right?
glad we did that.
Yeah, because the ghosting is one thing, right? And
Hmm.
now it's like, all right, we know why people ghost, right? Because they're afraid of confrontation.
Yeah.
Okay, now why do they like cyber stalk you online? It's
Yep.
an extension of the same thing. It's okay, they realize like they messed up in the same way that I realized years later that feeling inside of me, but instead of picking up the phone to call them like I did, they find ways to try to enter your life so that you are left with the onus of contacting them for a mistake that they made onto you. It's
Bars.
it's a form of like manipulation, and I don't
Hmm.
use that word like in a bad way necessarily because we all like
Manipulate.
we all manipulate. It's just it's just basic like human nature. What does it mean to be charming? We've spoken about that before.
Yeah, you're
It
just
means
manipulating.
you're extremely manipulative, like, but in a good way, so it's socially
Mm.
acceptable. Like in this same way, this is a form of manipulation, where it's like people don't wanna. They're in deep. Like it's like I screwed up with you, and now I need you to come back to me so that I don't have to admit to myself or even you that I messed up.
You hit the nail on the head, bro. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Some people think that the reason why people stalk others on social media that I like, they've ghosted or vice versa, the person ghosts them, and that person always looks at their stuff. Is that oh, like they secretly like them still, or like they're um they're trying to get back at them, and that might not be the case, right? Sometimes it's they want you to see that, hey, I'm paying attention to your life now. Look what I'm doing. I need you to see that and take the initiative that I myself am not able to do because I have issues with what happened and I can't be honest with myself. So I need you to initiate the conversation so that way I can tell you how I feel, like, but tell you how I feel by beating around the bush.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is.
And that's, to be honest, why I recommend that any guy who used to date a girl, stop following her on all social media.
Hmm.
If you guys don't date anymore, like you don't need to be a part of her life anymore. And not in a bad way necessarily. You can be, but you have to revert the relationship to friendly as opposed to friends.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like you said, like you see online, like you see when someone sees what you're doing, or
Yeah.
you see when someone likes or comment shares whatever like it is that you're doing, and that can be like intrusive in a way, to a lot of people. But people who have moved past the situation, it's not intrusive. And usually people who still follow like the daily lives of people that they used to date, or that there was something that happened between them, and they find themselves unable to stop following them, is because they haven't really moved on,
Yeah.
you know?
I can somewhat agree,
Okay.
right? So I agree that if you're a dude, if you're a girl, whoever, whatever you are, and the relationship has already ended,
Hmm.
there's not really a need to follow them. Like, especially if you don't really interact with them anymore. It's like, well, why are you following them?
Mm.
Right? It's like you said, there's some kind of unresolved conflict within yourself that you're not willing to confront, right? But then there are instances where it's like you've both moved on and you guys have grown so much that you follow each other, but it's at a genuine friendly, like, I see what you're doing, you see what I'm doing. It's cool because we're actually cool with each other,
Mm.
right? Some other times, like 95% of the time, right? Most relationships, it's like I don't fuck with you anymore. That's just how it is, right? But
Yeah.
then there's the few instances where like, you know what? I understand what happened. We
Mm.
moved on from it, and I still have love for you, but I'm gonna still do me and you do you, and that's just how it is, right? So there's like a few of those I have. But honestly, just thinking back, I'm like, there are like two or three. I'm like, why the hell do I follow you? There's no need for me to follow you.
Yeah, you have to. Here's the thing: is like you have to call yourself out on it.
Yeah.
It's like I get to that point sometimes too, where it's like I'll open up my Instagram or I'll open up whatever social media, and I'll see someone there, like their whatever pops up, their thing post pops
I'm
up,
about to
and
do it right now,
yeah.
to be honest. This
Their
is
post pops up in my feed, and in that moment, I ask myself like, why am I still involving myself in your life, and
mm,
not out of like out of hate, but just out of love for myself and my own like mental well-being, that like at certain times like you need to realize that someone was only a chapter in your life, and like I can reminisce on that chapter and it was beautiful and it set the stage for the chapter that I'm currently on, but that chapter, like I'm done. And unless I'm trying to reread this whole book, like let's move along.
that's big facts. I'm trying to. What was that her other name? I don't know.
This man's really over here.
No, I had bro, because after this whole conversation, I just started realizing like, yo, there's no need for me to talk to this like one specific person. I'm trying to look up the second person. I don't know. I forgot her Instagram name,
Mhm.
but the first one I knew. So I was like, all right, I already said my truth to you way, way back. You didn't say anything, so there's no need for me to. I don't look at your stories.
Mm.
I don't like your posts. So why am I following you, right?
Exactly.
And it's because of there's unsolved conflict that I have within myself where it's like I want her to reach out and to
Mm.
apologize.
Mm.
But sometimes you're not gonna get that.
That aspect of your ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. People hold out. I've held out a lot waiting
Yeah,
for
it's
people to
hard.
apologize.
It's hard.
Like, and even at some point, you have to just accept the fact that you're good. Like that whole experience, whatever came of it, even the fact that potentially they're not going to apologize to you, all that does for real is make it that when you're in a situation where someone does apologize to you, you appreciate them so much more.
Hmm.
So much more.
Repeat that again. Repeat it.
When someone doesn't apologize to you and
Hmm.
you have to accept that, you find the times that when people do apologize to you so much more appreciative.
Yeah. 100%. I've only had maybe once, maybe twice in my life where someone apologized to me for something that they did.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I kind of just
Not in general, but you mean like specifically in a relationship, right? Like
yeah.
context, like
Yeah,
okay,
like
okay.
specifically in a relationship.
Not like no
Not just
one's
like
ever apologized to you,
no
like
girl has ever
or
apologized to
like
me ever. Like, nah, it's
yeah, I
not
was like,
like
you
that at
better
all.
start sounding like those dudes who hate women, like
No, bro, I hate those dudes so much. Like
yeah.
they're any kind of extremist is just it's not healthy for
It's,
you.
right. I just think it's hilarious how like people coin themselves as like alpha males and like they're so like scarred.
Because of one breakup.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like it could have been through multiple experiences with women. Even like they understand and they get like behavior, but like how have they not just graduated past understanding to adapting? Like that's what I don't get.
It's similar
Like
to it's similar to
it's like
myself.
do they not think? I'm sorry, I want you
Yeah.
to go, but do they
Mhm.
not think like old head OGs, like old pimps, like from the game, who like be 70 years old and are married now? Like the pimp, the OG, he knows what's up. Why did he decide to get married? Because he learned that at a certain point, like, yeah, I know the game, I understand human nature, male and female. So let me like put them both together and figure out what I need to do to like survive moving forward.
No, yeah, I was gonna say the understanding part, right?
Mm.
It kind of goes back, and the reason why I said myself is like it goes back to the ego, right? So like the reason why a lot of dudes be like, bro, dudes be hurt on the low. They just don't talk about it. They be hurt, right? So like the reason why, let's say for instance, if a girl left him on red or she cheated or whatever happened that made the relationship end, they go to the understanding and it's like, oh, it's because women want a dude who's more successful and more physically attractive. That whore. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like they have such a bad mentality
I was
of
thinking, I was like, wait, what are you saying that's wrong? Like,
no, yeah, no, there's nothing wrong, right? But
that whore.
yeah, but it's the understanding part, right? They're only stuck at the understanding part. And it kind of goes back to the principle where it's like they understand why they do it, but it's like, well, why would you do that? Like what we had and da 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 da, and they get really wrapped up on that whole cycle of like fuck girls, but I'm a fuck girls at the same time, whatever it is. And like
Yeah.
I see a lot in college, and I feel bad because I went through the same thing, but you have to grow up and realize like you said, adapt to what's going on. It's like, yeah, biologically, men and women are supposed to have multiple partners. It's not supposed to be monogamous or whatever it is. Like biologically, we're supposed to find as many mates as possible to create offspring. That's the whole point of the thing. But in reality, right, you have to adapt and be like, I know the game. I know how it works. I could be this years old and still get game, but I much rather settle down because, like you said, there is a crazy blessing with companionship.
Mm, yeah. I might, I don't know. I might push back a little bit on the biology part
Okay.
only because I think men are biologically inclined to spread their seed,
Yeah.
and women are biologically inclined to preserve their seed. Meaning that, yes, men want to sleep with a whole bunch of different women, but women want to make sure that whoever they sleep with is,
The right mate.
yeah, like
Okay.
as successful as possible,
Yeah,
basically.
100%. I believe that as well. I was saying we have multiple partners because
It sounded like you were trying to, you're trying to get the four wives.
no, no,
Like,
no, 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 no. I'm not with that. What I'm saying is that like there can be that one good partner that you see,
Mhm.
but because there's 7 billion people in the world, it's not just that one person. Does that make
Mm,
sense? Like
mm.
that one person could be great, but this other person could be great as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
That's okay. That's opening up another can of worms, man. Like
no,
a
that's what I'm
lot of
saying. It's
people are
iffy.
afraid to get in relationships because of that line of thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
because they don't want to pick the wrong decision.
yeah, they don't want to make the wrong decision, like in and they don't want to like commit to making that wrong decision. Man, I don't even know what to say. A lot of guys, for instance, I see this with a lot of guys who end up becoming like very successful later on in their lives, or even after a certain point in their lives.
Hmm.
Well, like a lot of these guys, it's like when they're younger, they're not getting any play. They're not getting any action whatsoever.
Facts. From experience, but facts.
Don't worry, I'm speaking from experience too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, they're not getting like any play when they're younger, but as they continue focusing on developing themselves as like people, becoming better men, um, what other people would say, like increasing their sexual market value, becoming more successful, six pack, all that shit, whatever.
Hmm.
Like, as they get all those things that make them like more desirable, they don't lose that anger that they had when they were younger, where women didn't like them.
Oh yeah, bro. I see that a lot as music artists. Like when I first started making music, especially in the scene of where we're at right now, where we're located, I would see a lot of the girls would go for the dudes who like had the most attention, had the most clout, whatever it is, right? And for me, I was like, damn, these girls are like ignoring me. Like none of them want to talk to me, whatever it is, and I would be down in the dumps, right? But alhamdulillah, now I'm at a position where like I'm bigger than those dudes, right? Because like you said, I started to do self development and started to just really focus in on myself as a person. And now those same girls are attracted to me. Now initially I was like, fuck you, right? Because I was just like, how could you like me? How did you not like me when I was this, but now you like me then, right? and some dudes can't fathom that. But it's just like, well, you were a different person, bro.
Yeah, that's that's
Completely different
that's
person.
literally my point. Yeah,
Yeah,
is at the time when they didn't like you, why should they?
yeah. You
You know,
had no value.
why should, given what we said, like biologically, and you don't even need to take it from the biological angle. Like just take it from this practical angle if you can't look at things through different lenses. Like, why would a woman who has options choose the lesser of her options?
Yeah.
Like you need to work on yourself so that you become an option, but and that's the thing is they end up doing that a lot. Like I said, a lot of these guys who like they don't have a lot of like sexual market value when they're young, and then like they work on themselves and they have things that are deemed like socially successful, so they have status, they have money, maybe they're good looking, whatever, and it's
Mhm.
drawing them attention now from women. They can't move past the shell of their former selves. They hold on to the fact that women didn't used to like them, and they might still have that thought that women still don't like me, and they only like the stuff that I had. They only like, the things that I've made or done or whatever, as opposed to you not realizing that, nigga, you are the one who did all that stuff. Like they like you now. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I mean, yes, the stuff, but the stuff is a representation of
Of you.
you to an extent, and that's not to say like having a Lamborghini signifies that you're a good person, but having a Lamborghini does signify that you probably worked your ass off, that you probably have a good work ethic.
Yeah.
And it's not always about like, yeah, these things are status symbols, but they're also social signals. They're things that like point to who you are like as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like in the different aspects of your like characteristics. So a lot of those guys like they hold on to it and it's wrong. And what they need to realize is like, especially if they're really serious about like becoming better people and like better men, working on like personal development, self-development, is that when you work your way up, if you hold on to that resentment, you're no different from that 35-year-old woman who hit the wall, quote unquote. Like
Yeah.
you're that 50-year-old bachelor who's like just has nice house and a nice car and like you're making money. It's like, oh yeah, I'm happy, like, are you?
Yeah. You're not really
Yeah, it's
happy.
like, you might be happy with a lot of the things that you decided to do in terms of like, oh, I'm happy, like I had this girl or whatever. But like I said before also, like, maybe women realize that at like 30 and guys will realize it when they're 70, but everyone realizes it, that
At one point.
yeah, that companionship, that partnering with someone else, like for a long term is like the way to do it,
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm glad you brought up the resentment part
Mm.
of how dudes or even girls, we can bring in girls as well, where like they're like, oh, you like me now because of all these things. But it's like, yo, you are a reflection of these things, right? I don't have a lot of money, right? Just 100%. I'm 21 years old. I don't have a lot of money. But the things that I do have, my work ethic, the attention that's on my name, my how big my audience is, whatever it is, that showcases it. And then for girls, it's like, oh, whoa, he 2 years ago, he was like, whatever. But now there's a lot of eyes on him, right? And that makes you more desirable. Not because it might because in terms of the surface level, oh, you have clout, right?
Mm.
Just you have clout. But deep down it's because oh you busted your ass off when no one else is watching and it's paying off,
Mm.
right? So it can be in numbers, it can be in the engagement, it can be just in terms of how people receive your music or how good quality music, I'm talking about myself personally,
Yeah, yeah.
but how good quality of the product or the whatever you're doing is coming out. That's the reason why girls are attracted to you. And I understand though at the same time when dudes get like butthurt when that happens, but you have to let that go after you realize the initial thought of like, oh, why do you like me now? Fucking thought. You know what I'm saying? Like on some weird shit, right? But then you realize like, hey yo, bro, like that's not the right way to go because you have to understand you literally evolve every single day. So imagine 2 years ago, you were like an average dude, didn't really have a direction on what you wanted to do with your life. And then 2 years later, you're popping, you have like, you feel a spirituality within yourself, all these other things, right? That's the reason why people are attracted to you. It's because the presence that you have now. It's not. I mean, now it's like when you walk in a room, people look at you. It's not like you walk in a room and no one even knows who you are. It's like I can walk in a room and no one would know who I am, but presence alone, they're like, yo, who's that dude? Because the way you carry yourself, like that.
Yeah, it's. I was having a similar conversation with Wad, our sister, who we need to have on this podcast.
It would
at
be
some
great to
point.
have her on the podcast.
Yeah, and I was telling her that, like, we were having a similar conversation, and I was saying that same point, like, why would they don't have a reason to like you at that point in your life because you don't have anything. And then we started talking about being the right partner for someone else, and in the same way that, like, if you want to, like, are you the right partner for the partner that you're seeking? So, like, everyone is like, oh, I want a holy woman, like, yo, they how dudes are. She needs to be a virgin and a freak.
Yeah, she needs to be a virgin, a freak. She needs to have a flat stomach and a fat ass. Like everything that's like impossible. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to be all that,
But it's very small percentage. You know what I'm saying?
but I'm talking about, like, they want a girl who's like a virgin and a freak in terms of, like, there's certain, like, things where she wants a guy who's 6'2", makes $150,000 a year, drives an Audi R8, like, just like full beard, six pack, like, I don't know, whatever they like, 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 they want all that, but it's like, what are you bringing to the table? Are you attractive to a man of that standard? Just like for men, like, are you attractive to a woman of that standard? Like, you want a woman who is wholesome and honest and trusts you. And this comes up a lot in relationships. Like, people who have trust issues are usually the ones who are cheating in the relationship,
Big facts, big facts.
Yeah, like, it's like the ones who are, like, constantly like, are you talking to them? You cheating on me? It's like they're the ones who are cheating. It's like they're projecting on you the fact that, like, they're so scared that you're gonna catch them cheating that, like, they preemptively say that, like, you're cheating on them. In the same way, it's like, if you think about, like, oh, I want someone in the relationship who's honest and trustworthy and whatever. It's like, well, are you honest and trustworthy and accountable and all those other things, so that when you find someone who is, they'll be honest, accountable, and trustworthy with you? Otherwise, like, you're a trash option to them. Like, those are here's the thing, is, like, a valuable option is a valuable option to everyone, not just you. Like, 95% of people have the same ideals in a potential partner. We all want partners who are honest, who are dependable, who are lovable and affectionate. And, like, we all want those things. So, like, if I see those qualities in you, everyone else does too. I need to be the damn best option to make sure that you pick me over everyone else.
Yeah. And it also goes back to, like, biological nature. It's like, let's go back to, like, animals. Or I remember there's on the Nature Channel or something like that. It's like birds. Right. So, like, there's the female birds and she's chilling with her squad or whatever. They're just chirp, chirp, whatever it is. Right. And then one dude pulls up like, "Ayo, what's good, shawty?" Right. And does the mating thing with, like, their arms. And if they're not receptive to it, he'll keep trying. But then eventually another dude looks at it. He's like, "Oh no, I'm about to swoop in." And then he sizes the other dude up. He's like, "What's good? What's good, bro? No, look at my feathers." Yeah. And the girl's like, "Ooh, okay." It's because, like you said, there's certain qualities / values that you have now that is attractive to girls, right? For, like, even me personally, like 2 years ago, not even necessarily 2 years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, right? It was hard for me to look someone in the eye while talking to them, right? Which shows, and it's gonna sound bad what I'm gonna say. It sounds like you're a bitch. Like, that's what it is. Like, if people can tell that you can't look.
Is that hard for you to call yourself a bitch? I mean, I'll do it for you right now, bitch.
No. Nigga, no. I can call myself these names. I'm saying in terms of, like, hot takes, right?
Oh, yeah. This is a hot take?
This is a hot take where it's like, if you can't look someone in the eye, you're a bitch.
Oh, yeah. No, that's just facts. Yeah. It's not even a hot take.
Okay, cool. Moving on, right? So,
you know who you're talking to?
Yeah, so, like, I wasn't able to look somebody in the eye because, I was just a bitch at that. And when someone sees that, immediately your value as a dude is like, boom, you're last place now.
Mm.
Because if you don't have the confidence, I feel like confidence is like 80% of the reason why girls would see you as attractive. If you aren't able to like look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm that dude, right? And believe it and actually fulfill what you're talking about, people can detect that easily.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't fully believe in like objective physical attraction. Like there is like shit, man. I think 80% of attraction is like confidence, almost like,
Yeah.
you know, or is like honesty. It's not even physical elements at all, you know, like nah. So like that
I mean, I would say physical elements are like a little like splash on it, because if there was a fugly dude that was confident, he might not get the same reception as an average looking dude who's confident.
truth. But he still does a lot better than an attractive dude who doesn't try.
Oh, facts.
You know
Big
what I'm saying? Like,
facts.
and that's exactly what I mean. Is like you can be fucking Cristiano Ronaldo. Like it doesn't matter. Like David Beckham, whatever. Like I don't know who people consider. You're a super attractive male, right? You're still, unless you're the like literally the cream of the crop. You are Leonardo DiCaprio, like Brad Pitt. Unless you're like someone recognizable, at that instance it switches, and like yes, women will actually like
Yeah, they'll still want you.
yeah, like no, not still want you. I'm saying like yes, at that point they're gonna actually start actively pursuing you to like a very serious degree.
Oh, okay.
But like if you're just the top 5%, so it's like you're above 95% of other guys, but you're not like the 1%. Like even at that point, like women aren't just gonna flock themselves to you. They'll give you mad hints like, yo nigga, come talk to me.
Yeah.
But they won't, at the end of the day, like we talked about before, being the man in the relationship means taking the initiative. So they'll leave the door open, but nigga, if you ain't running through it,
They're not going to come to you.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's only so much. And like yes, there are bolder women. Yes, we're in 2020, but fundamentals are fundamentals. Like
Yeah.
women intrinsically don't want to approach men, you know, like that's what it is, like, and that's okay, you know, because that means that the dude who's not as physically attractive is gonna get a lot of girls if he just tries.
If he just tries and shoots a shot. There was, I forgot what video I saw, but it was this dude.
You should know from experience, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%.
No, what were you saying? There's
No, well, two things. I'll touch back onto
Mm-hmm.
that. But the video I saw, I forgot who it was, but he was saying like, yeah, like my friend used to like take me to the club or whatever, or like the bar, and he was like, I'll bet you like $10 who can get the most like girls' numbers or whatever it is, right? And he's like, all right, bet, right? But the friend, his mind wasn't to actually go through with the bet. He just wanted his friend to get out of the comfort zone and just talk to girls and just say, hey. Because eventually one of them will be like, hey, they'll talk back to you if you get that shot. If you just take your shot and take a chance, you literally never know. The worst thing they'll say is like they'll reject you or they'll say no, whatever, move on. Rejection is a part of life. But
right.
Yeah.
Facts,
Whatever,
bro. Like, how do
right?
you build a business without facing rejection?
Yeah, like, you're
you
gonna
can't
face-
have any sort of success in life without being
You're gonna
rejected.
face like thousands of rejections.
Like-
But the second point that you were talking about when you were saying like, girls will give you like the mad hints or whatever, right? I said girl, bro, like they will constantly show that they're interested, right? But like you said, they're not gonna go like head over heels and try to get at you, whatever it is, unless their value is lower, right? But a lot of times it's like if you guys match up, they'll like give you like subtle hints of like how they like you, like the way they talk to you, the way they hug you. It's all like behavioralism. Like you have to really like look at that for a second. I know for me initially, like when I came into college, I didn't get any of that.
Building off of that, kind of like the reason that like they have suggestive signals as opposed to like outwardly saying something is because that in and of itself is a good indication for them if A, you're attracted to them and you're receptive, but B, if you even have experience in that like category or on like that level, meaning that if a woman sees you as a 9 out of 10, make this real like entry level like discussion, like if a woman sees you as a 9 out of 10, and she's throwing you hints and you're not taking the bait, she's either going to say you're not attracted to me or I'm less attracted to you because you're too inexperienced dealing with women for me to be like to find you attractive.
Oh yeah, no.
Like you're not getting it, and so then they're like, wait a second. They start to like second guess how they originally viewed you as like super attractive. They're like, wait, this dude is like, like, and you'll see the opposite effect. For instance, of what I just talked about. If you don't get it, the opposite effect happens when a guy enters a relationship with a girl, right? And you might be able to speak on this, right? When a guy gets into a relationship with a girl, women from the fucking mountaintops come running for him like it's the scene out of 300, like just from the trees, like la 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 la, like yo, they come deep, bro. Like, like, and the reason being is because that woman who you decided to partner with, she is now your representative to the women's delegation, and she lets all the other women know that, hey guys, this dude is pre-selected, he's good to go. I'm a wife him down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's my nigga. Like, and if the quote unquote, like the badder the girl is, or the more status that she has, like the more and more that you become validated just for being associated with her. The most play I ever got in my life was when I was dating a really, and when I say play, I'm not saying I was playing. I'm just saying the most attention I ever got was when I was dating a girl who was extremely attractive.
Oh, no, yeah, 100%. So, yes, I can definitely touch base on this because Jesus Christ, right? So, before I started dating my partner or whatever, right? Like, I knew the girls at my college were giving me hints. I knew. Like, I'm not dumb, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you keep inviting me over to your crib late at night, past 10 o'clock, we all know what's up, right? Or like you want me to like spend the night, whatever it is, right? I get it. The reason why I ignore it is because I'm like, I know this isn't gonna lead anywhere. This isn't beneficial for me. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I didn't take the bait sometimes, because hey, sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm trying to shoot my shot, right? But then it will curve because something happened on their side. I'm like, all right, whatever. You move on, right? The instant that I started dating my partner, DMs, comments, suggestive actions, all these things, I'm just like, bro, what? How did this? And I'm just sitting there. Now, I was talking to Brandon about this, my friend Brandon from college, like my best friend. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, bro, I don't understand. Like, why do girls just randomly, they don't even have to know that you're dating that person. There's an instinct like, oh, he's probably taken. And then they just kind of go after you, whatever. And it's just like, damn, like, that's so crazy to think. But I also understand at the same time, it's like, if you are taken, right, and people know that you're taken, now the girls are looking at you like, oh, like, he's good enough for a relationship and she's happy with him. I want him now.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And it's just like,
yeah.
All right, bro.
I think that's the first half of it, right? I think the second half is the effect that being in a relationship has on a guy, and like the way he moves basically through life after he has a girlfriend. Basically, when dudes know they got pussy at home, they don't be out there looking thirsty as hell.
Oh yeah,
and that's attractive to other women. That's the basics.
Just not being thirsty in general. Yeah, as long as you're like not trying to always push whatever your agenda you're trying to do, and you're just chilling, they notice it and they're like, why isn't he
hitting on me? Now I want him to like me. Like,
it's like this is from Timmy Turner. Well, there's two things, Timmy Turner and then Drake and Josh.
Oh my god,
crazy, right? So Timmy Turner, it was Timmy was like falling like head over Trixie, and then just a lot of bad things were happening to him. He was like, bro, I hate this. So he asked Cosmo one day, and he was like, I wish that all my feelings were taken away. So now he's a blank face, right? So next time he goes to school, he hops on the bus and he's just sitting down. And then Trixie sits next to him, and then she's like talking to him, and he just stares like this. Like, she's not even saying that. And she's like, I'm ignoring you. He's like, I said I'm ignoring you. And then he's just staring. He's like, why aren't you talking to me, right? And it's funny. And then the Drake and Josh thing, which I think is so legendary. I didn't understand as a kid how valuable it was. But what was it, Mrs. Peck or whatever her name is, was spitting game to Josh to tell that girl. So if you guys haven't seen Drake and Josh, if you live under a rock, okay, Drake in this episode, Josh is in the movie theater with his mom, and his mom is telling him like, hey, like I'm gonna show you how to get girls. He's like, what are you talking about? Because mind you, Josh never ever really gets game like that. It was only that one girl, Mindy, right? There's never any other girl. And so Josh, no, Mrs. Peck tells Josh, go to that girl, say that you like her shoes, and walk away. He's like, walk away? Walk away. And he pulls up on her. He's like, hey. She's like, hey. And he's like, I forgot what else he said, but she was like, whatever, right? No. She says, I like your shoes. And she's like, whatever. And he's like, all right, bye. And he leaves. And then she chases after him like, wait. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, well, those shows they're made for kids, but they're produced by adults. So.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like, damn, that's actually some
Yeah.
useful information.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
but because it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, when like when you're carrying I mean, what do people say now? They call it like big dick energy, right? Like,
Or big dick energy, wet pussy energy.
what?
You didn't know that?
No,
That's for
I
girls.
just heard big dick energy.
No, yeah, big dick energy that just goes into them as like the confidence, whatever. But for girls, it's wet pussy energy.
And is that the same thing? It's
Yeah, it's
confidence?
the exact same thing. It's just for girls.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking about that phrase a lot because I was like, that's on the guy almost because he's not as turned on, but as you think. But anyways, yeah. But anyways, like, it's taking me a second to digest
'cause the
these
wet pussy energy.
this new phraseology I gotta learn. Like,
No, but, like-
it feels like such an old man.
No, but big dick energy, we're talking about how like that relates to dudes and stuff.
Yeah. So like, like we tell guys like a lot of times like, oh, have big dick energy. Girls like dudes with big dick energy, and like what they don't realize is like all that means is like, yo, bro, focus on like what you know to be true. If you fundamentally believe in like yourself, in the value that you're able to provide in a relationship, then continue to invest in yourself, and you'll find better and better options that will come your way. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that-
that
that's
simple.
the whole
So
thing.
yeah, it's like the same thing that happens when a dude's in a relationship. You can create for yourself if you're single by just focusing on your fucking purpose, like
Yeah.
staying in your lane, following like the passions that you have, and developing them to their logical like ends.
Yeah,
If you want to be a writer, like stop just sitting there and being like, oh, I want to write a book. Fucking
do
go
it.
write the book.
yeah, like, go fucking do it.
Yeah, that will make you more attractive to women. You
No,
know what I'm saying? Like,
I,
and women don't like a dude who's just, I want to write a book. They want a dude who's like,
Takes
I
initiative.
wrote this book. Look at it. Like,
Maybe that goes back to it, right? It's like where we say like men take initiative, boys don't. So I guess in terms of attraction level for a girl or a guy, whatever your sexuality is, it's just that you're taking initiative and you don't really care what people think. You're just kind of in your own, like you said, like in your own lane, where it's like a music artist or a real estate investor. It's like, I'm doing something I genuinely like doing. I will present it out. Here y'all go, and I'm gonna continue to keep doing it. There's a TikTok page I follow, and it was like King's Energy or something like that, and it pretty much talks about like for men, like you have to, like you said, focus on your purpose and really hone in on what you believe is true. So there's a TikTok. It's a soccer player, and he was just recording his workout, right? And so the ladder thing that's on the ground, you go like in and out, in and out. So he's doing he was doing that, and he was like going in, and the girl randomly pops up, and she was like, hey, and he was like, hey, and he keeps going, right? And she's like, yeah, so I just thought like you were really cute, and I was wondering like, can I get your number? And he was like, yeah, just give me 1 second, right? And he's about to finish. And in the comments, everyone's like, she pulled up on you and you said, give me 1 second, and kept going, right? And then right, which I was like, what are you talking
nigga,
about?
I'm busy.
Yeah, he's busy, right? And so the dude that I follow, he was like, look at all these comments saying that shit, but they fail to understand that before she came into his life, he was in perfect harmony with the universe. He does not give a fuck about you. He's focusing on his workout. He says when he's finished, give me 1 second, I'm gonna finish, and then I'm gonna cater to whatever you want to talk about. And I thought that in itself is just like boss status. Like, don't. I've made this mistake too, where it's like, let's say for instance, a studio session for yourself, but then there might be a distraction with the girl, right? I've chosen the distraction, and then 10 times out of 10, it usually goes wrong.
Mm.
and you're like, all right, that wasn't the right move. I should have just stayed in the studio and just done my thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, bro, if like the people, I think people invest too much into people they don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like we've talked about before, the difference between interest and investment,
Yeah.
right? Like show interest in the beginning of a relationship like that you're trying to create, but you're not invested at this point. So don't go out of your way necessarily to like do something. If like it's the first date with someone, right?
Hmm.
Oh, I'm potentially interested in you. And like some shit pops up. Okay, maybe not the first date, because canceling on a first date's like a taboo-ish thing. So let me
Bro,
use the
if a
second date
girl,
as an
no,
example.
yeah, if a girl cancels, I'm not talking to you again.
Well, it depends on the. I've gone out with girls who've canceled on the first date, and then we went out actually after that. It depends
If
on
they
how you.
reschedule.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it depends on how you cancel. Like if she cancels and like she's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. You know, this came up. Can we go again next Tuesday?" Cool.
Yeah, cool.
You know what I'm saying? If she's like, "Hey, something came up." Okay. Yeah, and
Silence.
that's me waiting for you to set another date because I set the first one because I'm a man.
Yeah, initiative.
Yeah, right. But the shoot, what did we just went off on a ramble? I
We were
forgot.
talking about I was saying how I would make mistakes. We're talking about interest and investment.
Yeah, so people, it'll be the second date, for instance, and you have something that came up, right? You'll go out of your way. You'll be like, oh, or even on a first date, for instance, if a guy goes and, I mean, I don't care how much money you're making. If you're over here, like, let's do dinner and drinks and this and that on a first date, it's like, bro, like, you're just trying to get to know them. Like, why are you investing so much of your like time and energy and whatever when you could just go and like buy ice cream and go on a walk? You know, or like just sit
Literally.
down and just sip like on some tea and then go on a walk afterwards. Like, notice how a lot of my dates involve going on walks.
No, yeah, because
Because
you don't want to spend no money.
it's not even about the money. And when I'm talking about investment, it's not even just money. It's about I'm not investing, I'm not trying to deviate too much from. So, say for instance, I'm setting a first date, for instance, with someone. I'm just trying to get to know you, even if I like you. You know what I'm saying? So at
Hmm.
this point, I don't want to like involve myself too much because I don't know anything yet, right?
That's true.
The more and more I get to know, the more and more I'll invest myself in like. Say for instance, like you're my girlfriend and you're like, hey, let's go out on Saturday. Cool. I'll block off Saturday. You know what I'm saying? The whole fucking day. But if I don't even know you, I'm going to be like, hey, Tuesday at like, or not even Tuesday. I'm going to tell you like, yo, Sunday, like a day I don't even have anything going on. I'll be like Sunday at 7 p.m. Like, let's do this because
Yeah.
I'm going to fit you in because I don't even know if I like you yet. So what's the point of me like investing my time and stuff by rearranging everything? And like I said, a lot of guys, like I see it, they'll go out and they'll like drop money and time 3 4 hours on like going to multiple places, multiple bars with like this chick, and at the end of the night they spent like $100 or more. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter like how much money, you know what I'm saying? Like I try not to spend over $10, but you know,
That's
like
a good rule of thumb.
oh yeah, I mean, you can do like a million different things. Like there's so much that's free. But anyways, they spent all this money, and so now it's like it's weird because now it's like now it's 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. or whatever. It depends you guys did. You've been with this person for like 3 hours. You don't really like them as a person because after a certain point you were like, let's just smash because I spent all this money. And so like the way that you look at the whole interaction is completely different than if you would have just been like, hey, meet me at 2 p.m. We're gonna like just sip on some tea and I'm gonna get to know if I
And
even
just
want to like
yeah.
continue dating.
No, yeah, just like for an hour, maybe two, just talking, getting to know each other. But I feel like a lot of dudes have made the mistake. I'm not saying drop $100, but they've definitely dropped money, time for those dates because they were always kind of told like, oh, you have to do this and this and this, right, for the first date, and they do it, and then they, unfortunately, they'll think in their heads like, oh, so she'll let me smash, she'll let me
Yeah.
smash, and it's like, no, she doesn't have to.
It's like you didn't need to do all that if you were just
Yeah,
trying to smash.
if you're
like-
trying to smash, just let her know.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't need to do all that. Like,
Yeah, but
you could have took your $100 and went to like hooker.com or some shit
exactly,
like
right, exactly. But it kind of just goes back in terms of like interest and investment, like you said, like you have to really just point out and see the kind of person that you want. And in order to do that, you don't need to invest so much of your time. The other use of that time could have been on your purpose, what really excites you, what really drives your life every single day. Um, we shouldn't make everyone such a priority. It's not necessary.
When they make you an option.
Treat what is that? What is that saying? Um, treat a girl like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any like last minute
Closing remarks?
Yeah, closing remarks to this whole situation?
Wow, we touched on a bunch of topics, so it's hard to find like one.
Yeah, we talked about ghosting, talked about relationship stalking, we talked about um investment and interest, but on a deeper scale.
I would say, as always, the best thing to do is to be honest with yourself.
Mm.
If you've been ghosted, if you have ghosted other people, be honest with yourself about why you did it, about why you think it happened to you. Learn to let go. Grow up. This is almost like just general advice.
Yeah.
Like learn to
Grow
let
up,
grow.
save your money.
Stack that bread. But like, no, for real, like the best things that come out of life, like, come when you come to a place of acceptance. Like when you learn to accept reality for what it is and stop existing in like the fairy tales that we build in our heads. Like if you believe that you can build a fairy tale in your head, then build one that you want to be a part of. A lot of people, I feel like, are hopeless with romance. We talked about that before.
Last episode.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like love isn't for them, relationships aren't for them. They've been ghosted before. A lot of people hold on to resentment from when they were kids or when they were younger and people didn't like them because they were in middle school and we were all in that awkward teenage phase. I would just say accept it so that you can grow from the experience.
Yeah. I would say, as a last remark, boss up. Just show your old self that you're better than that. And when you do boss up, look back and just see that whatever happened has happened, and that's the past. You can't control how people thought of you before then, but what you can control is the way you react. Yeah.
The way you respond.
Oh yeah, the way you respond. I apologize. That's a
Yeah.
way better way of saying it.
We don't react, we respond.
Proactiveness, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's been Ahmed.
And Lofy.
And this is the Brotherly Love Podcast. Thank you guys again for listening. Stay tuned.